Do you want to increase loneliness and misunderstanding? Do you want to find more and more complications and increasing responsibilities? You get enough of it.
For centuries, doctors and scientists have tried to unlock the mysteries of the human brain. How is it organized?
Emotions are centered in the lower part of the brain.
Which areas control different mental functions? And how is it all wired together to generate our subjective psychological experience? For the past 100 years, neuroscientists have approached the brain like mapmakers, charting its features and activities within well-defined boundaries. The prefrontal cortex is celebrated as the seat of rationality. The motor cortex plans and coordinates movement. The somatosensory cortex and parietal lobes control our perception of the physical world. The temporal lobes process memories, language, and emotion. The occipital lobe processes and integrates visual information, and the cerebellum helps execute our body's motor commands. But researchers are finding problems with this picture. Recent studies of traditional categories of cognitive brain functions, like memory, show surprising amounts of activity that overlap different parts of the brain. So much that the simple map and its strict categories lose their meaning.
On the quest to understand ourselves scientifically, we know so much from the form to the organs, cells, molecules, atoms, waves, and more. Yet every new discovery teaches us one immutable and persistent lesson. We know very little of ourselves, our reality, our potential. Especially the mysterious psychedelic compound DMT. DMT, or dimethyltryptamine, is a molecule produced within the human brain that is also known to be the most potent psychedelic substance in the world. Those who have navigated the rabbit hole of strange experiences that psychedelic plants elicit have probably asked themselves at one point, what is reality? How do we know this world is real and the strange world of psychedelics is just a distortion? And there is no better candidate to evoke this kind of response than dimethyltryptamine, or more commonly known as DMT. N,N-dimethyltryptamine was first synthesized in 1931 by chemist Richard Manskiy in Berlin, Germany. The psychedelic effects and its connection with Amazonian snuffs like yopo and beverages like yahe and ayahuasca were unknown at this time. It would be another 25 years until Hungarian chemist and psychiatrist Stephen Cesara synthesized DMT in 1956 because he couldn't get his hands on psilocybin or mescaline. He read a paper about South American hallucinogens containing this compound and wanted to see if this was in fact the compound responsible for these strange visions, and was the first to publicize this new psychedelic substance. But was this the first time humanity had discovered the visionary properties of this compound?
The groundwork for current research on the topic was laid by Dr. Rick Strassman, psychiatrist and pioneering psychedelic researcher who first described these entities in his book, DMT, the Spirit Molecule.
The beings were, beneficent. They did healing, they gave advice. Some predicted or, showed volunteers the future. Some were just, some were examining the volunteers. But, one of the hallmarks of the interaction was the strength of those beings.
A recent study surveyed 2,500 individuals who encountered entities after taking DMT. The researchers found that, quote, the experiences were rated as among the most meaningful, spiritual, and psychologically insightful lifetime experiences, with persisting positive changes in life satisfaction, purpose, and meaning attributed to the experiences. Could supernatural entities encountered during a psychedelic trip be responsible for the dramatic psychological healing that many report?
This very positive, loving kindness feeling supported, feeling cared about, or observed in some way. What's very common is that you're going to encounter one of these things.
DMT, or N,N-dimethyltryptamine, is widely considered the Earth's most powerful hallucinogen. It is the latest psychedelic to be clinically studied for its potential to treat mental health issues like major depression and PTSD. One frequently occurring phenomenon of the DMT trip researchers are particularly interested in is the appearance of entities whom experiencers often credit with the healing they receive.
And if you or I take it today, assuming it's a similar kind of brew, it will have similar effects on our brains and nervous system that it did to them in those conditions then.
I think we've seen with other psychedelic research at Hopkins and at Imperial College London, they've developed these big psychedelic research centers, and it shows they're putting out a lot of research, a lot of studies, and they're extremely successful, and it's really bringing psychedelics back into the mainstream. And DMT, and more specifically endogenous DMT, is still just kind of in the shadows.
What if DMT was the missing link between all religions? What if the foundation of all spiritual experiences might have a basis in biology? Could this help bring humanity together? What if this really is a simulation, and endogenous DMT was the key? Would the task before us be any different than what the yogis, sages, and mystics called the process of awakening? What if the rapid expansion of the human neocortex had more to do with endogenous DMT than we once believed? What if adaptation of our species to existential and environmental threats wasn't a job for global politics, but an internal responsibility of the collective? What if mental health and the voluntary changing of brain structures was just a few short years of research away? On the quest to scientifically understand being human, we know so little about why the waves collect into atoms and beget molecules and build cells to become organs that make up the form of a species on the brink of an ocean of questions. The answer to this DMT quest is closer than you think.
Maybe We've all heard really scary things about psychedelics. They scrambled your chromosomes, they caused you to hop off of buildings. It was all terrifying. So I took a look at the true effects of these substances. I was very surprised at what I found. Mescaline, psilocybin, MDMA, LSD.
For a lot of people, this was the bad and evil drugs. But the opposite is true. There are really people who could benefit.
Can't wait to see what's going to happen.
What if mental health problems like OCD, PTSD, alcoholism, and depression could all be helped?
I'm a fairly conservative, sober scientist, but I've seen it work.
And this medicine here starts to help heal.
Some of my friends said, don't do it.
Psychedelic therapy has the potential to revolutionize mental health care.
They broaden the lens and you realize, oh my goodness, there's all of this. I didn't know.
It's like a light bulb has gone off.
My story is the same story as millions of veterans. Where my story becomes unique is I took MDMA 3 times. It saved my life.
It really did short circuit this suicidal period that I was in.
It's not like magic bullet that everything's perfect.
But just think how much human suffering could be relieved.
This is the tool for understanding the mind.
María Sabina fue una mujer que ahora sí le abrió puerta a todo el mundo.
This tension continues to grow.
If the drug war ends, what's the peace look like?
We're all striving to have good health and happiness.
This medicine helped me stand on my own 2 feet.
True science probes the very frontiers of human knowledge. And that's where psychedelic research is right now.